to our generosity series. In this video, we focus on the principle of seed and bread. In our previous module, we started talking about the call that we have received from God, which is a call to be generous. We continue that conversation today by focusing on the principle of the seed and bread. One major scripture that we focused on in the last module was 2 Corinthians chapter 9 verse 8, where Paul says, God is able to make all grace abound to you, so that always having all sufficiency in all things. I like how many times Paul repeats the word all in this one verse. God is able to make all grace abound to you, so that always having all sufficiency in all things at all times, you may abound in every good work. Every is another form of all. And the emphasis there is intended to help you and I realize that God does take this generosity thing really, really seriously. Another scripture which adds to that one to confirm that we can indeed be generous is 2 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 10 and 11. And this is what Paul says. He says, for God is the one who provides seed for the farmer and then bread to eat. In that same way, He will provide and increase your resources and then provide a great harvest of generosity in you. Yes, you will be enriched in every way so that you can always be generous. And when we take your gifts to those who need them, then they will thank God. It's the same conversation that Paul continues in these two verses. And I believe that the truths that are buried, especially in verse 10 of 2 Corinthians 9, are what we all need to find the freedom to live a generous life. Paul says that God provides two kinds of things here. The first is seed for the farmer. A farmer is not a farmer if he cannot sow and expect a harvest. God provides the seed for the farmer, and then He provides bread to eat. Now, if you and I are farmers in this scripture, as Paul is addressing us, our challenge therefore becomes identifying the seed and identifying the bread. I grew up with my grandmother. I didn't grow up with my grandmother. I visited my grandmother when I was young. And very often, because she was a farmer, there would be times that I would be so confused. We wouldn't have, for instance, Irish potato to eat when we wanted to fry Irish potato. And there will be some Irish potato that she will reserve. And it doesn't matter how hard we worked to convince her to give us those particular tubers of Irish potato. She would never release it. Why? Because being a farmer, she would have selected her seed. She was preserving the seed for the next year. She knew that if I eat my seed, I'm not going to have a harvest and my life is going to be very miserable. I believe that's the trap that we often fall into. Being unable to distinguish our seed from our bread, a lot of us end up eating our seed. And then we are wondering why we don't have a harvest to be able to give back to God or to give to other people in line with the things that God has called us to do. As a leader in your church, are you able to tell the difference? Is this your seed or is this bread? It is a lesson that I learned when I was a student in university, seeking God for provision of a lot of things that my parents could not afford at the time, raising 6 children with the kind of economy that we had. And I thought, okay, Lord, every time I receive something from you, I want you to tell me, is this seed or is this bread? And I can guarantee you, a lot of the times when I saw something and desperately hoped that it would be bread, and the Lord said, no, it's your seed, releasing it was never easy. But I believe that therein lies where our freedom is buried. Our ability to not only identify seed, but to be willing to part with seed. And God is going to call us to sow those seeds into different places. And I know the concept of seed is one of those things that the prosperity gospel has again abused, and they have used it to enrich. Selfish pastors have used it to enrich themselves, but it doesn't make it any less scriptural than it is. If you and I are going to successfully be generous, we must master this principle and implement it. Because if God gave you seed that was intended for somebody else and you ate it, you just told God that he cannot trust you. And so as we continue reflecting on what it means that we have received a call from God to be generous, may I ask you right now, have you eaten your seed in the past? Are you taking any measures to identify your seed right now? And will you be content with the bread that God gives you? Or are you going to try to eat the seed that he puts in your hand? Only those that God trusts can become channels of the blessings that he wants to pass to the rest of the nations. Would you become one of those?